Welcome to the Fearless Future podcast. This is a podcast of announcements. So you want to stay tuned because we have so many things to share with you.
Welcome to the Fearless Future podcast, where your hosts, Lisa Canning and Leah Jacobson, will explore what the world would look like if women didn't fear pregnancy. Through education, community, and healthcare solutions, Guiding Star Project strives to make this a reality at our physical centers across the United States. Join us.
Leah Jacobson, how are you?
Oh, wonderful. Good morning, Lisa Canning. How are you?
I am caffeinated, or I'm on my way to being caffeinated. It is.
Me too. Oh my goodness. It's a Monday. It is the Mondayest of Mondays.
I will tell you, I am so excited because there are just so many things that we have not shared here on the podcast, that we've not shared here with our dear podcast audience. And so, where do you want to begin? Because we have one very big announcement, but we've realized we have a bunch of other announcements that we're excited to share with you all.
Well, we haven't done this for 3 weeks now, Lisa, because we have literally just been drowning and swamped in some of these announcements, some of the things that we've been up to over the past couple of weeks. So it's been a few weeks.
I have to stop. The mindset coach in me is like, we've not been drowning. We have been ingesting and living in all of the wonderful. We've been immersed there. That's better. We have been immersed in lots of activity, which we are very excited about.
We have. Well, I want to congratulate you formally and publicly for the first time on your big announcement, your big news, Lisa. Do you want to share it here?
We are pregnant again. So if you are new to the podcast, I have 10 beautiful children here on earth. I've got one in heaven, and we are pregnant with baby number 11 on earth. I'm actually almost 16 weeks pregnant, which like in my head, I was like, oh, I'm 12 weeks pregnant. I don't know. I remained 12 weeks pregnant for a very long time. Until I actually, like when I get my actual dating ultrasound and all that. So I've only just seen my midwife for the very first time. I'm excited. I'll be doing midwifery care. I wish I could be at a Guiding Star center for my prenatal care, but I am excited to work with a beautiful team of midwives here local to me. So 40 and pregnant is very different than 20s and 30s and pregnant, but I am feeling very, very well. That's a whole other podcast episode. It's like a whole other world of the support, I think, just needs when you get older, like all.
And now that you're a geriatric pregnancy, what that all means too, just in the changes in the care, it's just fascinating.
So geriatric, but I'm very, very excited. So happy to share the news with everyone and feeling very well.
Well, congratulations from everybody at our team. I mean, we've known for a little while here, and we've just been kind of like quietly like, oh, when do we get to tell everybody? When's this going to be public? And so it's finally public knowledge that Lisa, our fearless leader, is expecting. So we're very happy for you. We're thrilled.
So much fun. And then we've had something else that just has been, again, a contribution, let's say, in creating this fearless future for women. And that is that we have opened in a sneak peek way. We're going to have a grand opening in 2025. But the doors to Guiding Star Tampa Bay Birth and Wellness Center have opened. We'll be seeing clients formally in the building beginning in January for prenatal care, well visits, and other services. And then we'll be fully operational and moving and grooving in March. So we're very excited for.
And Lisa, you've been down there twice to Tampa in the last, since we did our last podcast, you've been there twice, all the way from Toronto to Canada with your pregnant self, with your baby, with Lucy. How you holding up there?
I will tell you that it is so special to see your vision come to life. And that's the thing that's just so exciting. We've not yet had a building where your full vision of Guiding Star has truly lived out. We've had some glimpses or iterations of it, so to speak, but your real original vision was birth and all of the other 4 core services that we offer, all the ways that we support women. And so it's very exciting. It's so exciting for Tammy, our midwife there, who this has been her dream as well. Like, how can we bring a birth center to the Tampa Bay area? So that's just so exciting. And for the women in the community, it's been just beautiful to watch them walk in and be so excited. I was able to chat with many women who are excited to give birth in the center, who are familiar with the community. And what we heard over and over and over again while I was there is, we're so happy you're here. We're so happy you're here. Like, we need you. We need this in our community. And that was just very, very, very exciting. So yeah, I can't wait.
Lisa, I can't wait for the day when you can, use a Guiding Star Birth Center, because there will be one local to you and to everyone around the country. That's something that I hear a lot of. It's just people that are like, really love what you do, but well, we don't have one close by. So, and it's like, no, that's where we're going though. That's what we want to do. That is the desire of our heart, is to be everywhere. It really just is the resources and the natural kind of growth that happens with a nonprofit. We're really making sure that we learn this really well so that we can replicate it all over the country. But we're going to have them. We're going to have them everywhere eventually. That's what's coming.
It's so exciting. Oh my goodness. Okay, what else do we have to tell people? Leah, you're going to be somewhere really exciting in the beginning of 2025. Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be at Seek. This is last year's mug. They give you a mug each year. So I'll be at the Seek conference. I'll be at the Salt Lake City location. New Year's Eve, and a couple days after that, we'll be traveling with the wonderful ladies from the Hormone Genius podcast. So our board member, Teresa Kenny, and our former board chair, Jamie was our board chair for a while, and the executive director of Guiding Star Cedar Valley, Jamie Rachi. We will be there sharing the good news about fertility with 20,000 college students. So that's going to be amazing. So if anybody's going to be at Seek, please shoot me a message. I would love to connect with you while we're there. We may just plan for like a coffee meetup or something while we're there so we can connect with everyone.
And that's in beautiful Salt Lake City. I'm actually incredibly excited you are going to Salt Lake City. It is. Have you ever been to Salt Lake?
No, I've actually never been to Utah. And I was just looking at my kind of travel map and I'm like, I've never been to Utah. I've heard
you have a travel map? Like, do you travel places?
Well, I haven't officially, but like I kind of know like where I've all been, and I'm like, I've never been to Las Vegas, so I've never been in Nevada or Utah, which are.
I wouldn't say you're missing anything.
I know Las Vegas, we're sorry.
There's really cool. There are some really cool hotels. Like there's flamingos in the lobby. Like there's interesting hotels in Las Vegas. But what a thrill it's been. I have to ask you on a personal note. There has been quite a bit of momentum and growth, I would say, in the last little while, especially with Tampa and us being more formally involved. So this will be the very first time that we corporately own a center, which means that we are involved. I know more about things like payer mixes and insurance policies than I ever thought I would ever know. And so it's been such an interesting experience. But as someone who has obviously been around since the very beginning, how does it feel now to be at this point in the journey?
It's good. It's really it's a full circle. It actually feels like a full circle moment for me. I've had a sense since the very start that there would be about 15 years. And I've said this many times to people that have been around me in these circles. I said, when this very first started, I said, I have a feeling we're going to have about 15 years of figuring it out before it kind of starts to crystallize. And we're there. It's been 15 years since we went out on this path. We, started piloting our centers about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, really getting a look at what works, what doesn't work, hearing from patients, from women, like, what are the services you need? What are the things that are lacking? What are the gaps in women's health, in your community? And we've just been kind of collecting and receiving all this information for so long. And then, for the Lord to open this door, this opportunity at 15 years in, it's just sort of like, okay, let it begin. Let's get to work. It feels like all the information has just been collecting, and we've been proving the concept and piloting it and knowing what a new version of women's healthcare should look like really defining that, saying, no, that's not women's healthcare. This is women's healthcare. And so now to have the opportunity with a building and a community that supports it, and being able to just start is it's kind of like we've done one full rotation of the circle, and now it's like time to go again.
It's thrilling it's so thrilling for me. It's just, I can't wait. Like, it's like funny. I keep saying that because like we've already started, but I'm also very impatient to see it all like come to fruition, to actually see, women give birth in the building and babies be caught by incredible midwives, and just all the things that come when you are more involved, I think too, or
Yes.
it's such good learning. Like, it's been an incredible time. One day we should do a podcast. It'll have to be like a closed door podcast. I don't know, but like we should like share the tremendous journey it was to get to this point. Like,
yes. All the behind the scenes things that we can't ever say publicly, that were like those moments where you're like, oh,
I remember so many times, like in my car. I don't know why I was always in my car, and it was like late at night and like super dark out, and I'd be talking to you, and we would be encouraging each other, because I think we've ping ponged at various times around like, is this even gonna work? Like how and we've ping ponged between like, stay the course, we can do this. So but I have so many memories of those times. So one day we'll do like a closed door, like non-public recording session, because there's just been so many stories. And here's the thing, as you said, it's been this 15-year cycle, and we are about to announce something very exciting that is another first for Guiding Star, if I'm not mistaken, right? We've never done this.
No, we haven't done this before. And it's been something that has been on, like, every year. We do a lot of planning. We use the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS. And so we always plan, and we put out, our 1-year plan, our 3-year plan, and our 10-year plan. And repeatedly, this is something that has been on, the 3-year plan and the 10-year plan. And now it's just like, we're there where it's like, okay, now it's time. So it feels like, it's like let's go, like we're here, let's do it. So.
All right, Leah. So without further delay, what are we doing? What is our big announcement for the podcast today?
Well, and a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of people over the years. I've been in a lot of places, and I've said a lot of times, like, the women's movement had its Seneca Falls. It had its place, its gathering. It got all its people together. They declared these 16 sentiments. They said, this is what we're doing as a movement. And they set out, they outlined their principles, their values, their goals, and they set out and created this entire movement. And I've been saying for many years, we need a Seneca Falls. We need a moment. We need our moment where we come together as sisters in this and say, this is what we're creating, and this is why. And so we're going to do it. We're going to get together, and we're going to have our launch to this movement. And we've been calling it, because our podcast here picked up the title, The Fearless Future, because as we've just been debating, what do you call something like this? We're like, it's making it fearless. It's making us not afraid of ourselves, of our bodies, of healthcare. It's empowering women through removing fear. And so we are going to have the very first ever Fearless Future Summit, or conference, if you want to say. We're going to do it. We're going to get together in Orlando the end of February, and we're going to pull together key leaders in this thing. And we're going to put our heads together, and we're going to leave with an action plan of how we're actually going to implement this change nationwide in all of our communities.
If you are watching this live, I'm dropping in the chat wherever you are watching or listening, a link where you can learn more. But I want to dive in. I'm going to share my screen with you. So if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, I'm going to share my screen. And we wanted to share some of the details, what this conference will entail, what you can expect when you come to the Fearless Future conference. And it's happening February 28th through to March 1st, 2025. All right. So let's get into what people can expect. I remember when we were talking about this, Leah, it was very important to you that it felt like a call to action. What is it that you're hoping people feel convicted about when they come to this conference?
Well, like I was saying, it's a Seneca Falls moment where you show up, you raise your hand, you put your name on that kind of declaration. You say, I'm here for it. I believe in this. I'm part of this. So I'm really hoping that that's what you get, in a sense. You get the network, you get the knowledge, the information, the areas that maybe you're lacking in. there's been a lot of progress in women's healthcare practices that most people just aren't even aware of. Even well-meaning people that really care about these issues just don't know these things. So we need to have some of our experts speaking. We need to be listening to where healthcare should be going for women. And then you're going to be ready after this to be part of the start of a movement. I think that's kind of what it is for me. It's everything starts somewhere. And we haven't had our moment yet where we've all gathered and said, we're doing this. Like as Guiding Star internally, we've had these moments. We've had our directors have all met together. We've had our annual Lumen retreat, but that's very exclusive. That's closed door. It's just our Guiding Star directors. It's just our people that are running our centers. And we put our brains together, but it has to go bigger than just our Guiding Star centers and locations.
I think for me, I'd love it also. This is the kind of conference that I wish I had had. A lot of the things that you talk about in your book, Holistic Feminism, and in the work that we do at Guiding Star, if you walk into a Guiding Star center, you're going to receive this information at some point, right? Mm-hmm. But this was information that I knew inherently, let's say. I was informed on at various points throughout my adulthood, I guess, and my youth. But I definitely didn't have clear vernacular on. And for me, that's what I hope people walk away with. I hope they walk away with a clear sense of this is exactly what women's healthcare looks like when it honors the dignity of women. This is what it is. This is what it's not. So people can walk away with a really clear sense. And then with that clear sense, there's a clarity again on, okay, now what do we do if you don't have that? Like in your local
I think what you just touched on there is so important because so I'm a member of, I would say, the healthcare community in that I provide services to women as a lactation consultant. And so part of what this is for those providers to not feel alone, to say, I'm not the only one that thinks this way. I'm not the only one that's questioning maybe like the best practice that's being put out by my credentialing body. Like I've seen different in my experiences. I believe different. Like, so it's a chance for us to like come together as providers and say, maybe there are better ways that we could be serving women and doing these things. But then for you, as a patient, like you just said, you're not equipped with the verbiage. You don't know how to even request what your heart is desiring. So it is that all of the people, it's for every woman. It's for every woman that receives healthcare. If you're a provider or a recipient, you need this language. You need this.
And there is something like Seneca Falls, and I invite people, if you've not looked into that story, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, it's a fascinating thing to look up. It was a group of women who, in a closed door way, if I'm not mistaken, it was
roughly about 100 women were there. And so, I mean, honestly, like I would love if we had the right, 100, 200, maybe it's 300. I don't know. Like I want the right people in the room. And so if this is like if you're like, something in my mind is like, I'd like to be in that room. I'd take that as a sign. I'd take that as maybe you're supposed to be part of launching something new. We're still feeling the ripple effect. Seneca Falls was in the 1850s. It was a long time ago. I mean, we're coming up on 200 years. And the ripple effect of what happened in that room, in that place, where everyone put their minds together and said, this is the problem and this is the solution that we're going to champion. You can have long lasting effects when you get the right people in the room.
Amen. So we want to invite you to consider joining us if this is stirring your heart, if what we talk about here on the podcast is interesting, if it piques your curiosity. Join us in Orlando, Florida. Now, I want to share a little bit. I'm going to share my screen again and share a little bit about the venue because, oh boy, like we're just so excited that we are able to have the conference in Orlando. We picked Orlando because it is easy to get to relatively from anywhere in the country, international airport right there. But the wonderful, wonderful people at Holy Family Catholic Church invited us to consider their space as our conference home. And it's a beautiful, beautiful venue. On the screen that I've got in front of me, I'm showing their incredible campus. And when I say it's a campus, it is a campus. Yeah. It is very family friendly. There'll be space for, small children to be able to feel comfortable. And we really would love for you to even consider, like it's February when I know many people consider taking taking a little trip to escape the snow and the cold. And perhaps you could even make it a little bit of a family vacation, tack a few days on to the beginning or the end and make it a bit of a family vacation. So we're so excited about that. What else, Leah, are you excited about?
With this conference in particular?
Yeah.
Well, I am excited to be leaving Minnesota at the end of February. Oh my gosh. I was like, yes, let's go someplace warm. So I'm very excited about that. The networking breaks. I will note one of the reasons that this made sense for us as well. We had the Holy Family Connection and the offer to use their space, which is perfect. It's beautiful. But the APLOG conference is also in town the same weekend. So those of you who are not familiar, it's the American Academy of Pro-Life OBGYNs are just about 20 minutes away at their conference as well. And so we're trying to open up that opportunity for people to maybe hit one, hit both, like be to have the synergy of, we know there's going to be some amazing OBGYNs, medical providers, practitioners in town that can come over and then share as well at our conference. And so a little bit of a 2-for-1 offering. If you can get yourself to Orlando the end of February, you will have access to a greater pool of experts and people that really care about these issues. So that's
working that is possible. So, I've got the screen on, if you're watching this, I've got the screen on the schedule. And so we're going to start every day with, coffee and networking at 8 a.m. And then the days are going to be filled with incredible speakers on the topic of what makes up women's healthcare. Leah's going to be kicking us off on day one. And we've included intentionally these networking breaks where you can peruse our vendors, where you can meet with like-minded women like yourself, providers who believe in this version of women's healthcare. And where, again, we're going to be the entire 2 days making it very clear, this is what holistic women's healthcare is. Here's what it's not. Here's what you can do in your local community if you do not have a guiding star or you do not have resources available to you. And how can we make this national movement where this ripple effect begins and continues to grow and get stronger? One fun thing that I'm so excited about is that we are going to have a fundraising gala and award ceremony. So an opportunity for you to dress up and come and just have a beautiful night out. We're going to make it a really, really fun evening. We're going to honor some incredible people who are doing great things in the women's health space, and just have an opportunity for a really, really fun night out.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. Yeah, get a little fancy, and you're going to Florida, get fancy.
Oh my goodness. Leah, we've got ways that people can be involved in the conference as well as a sponsor. And so if you're listening to this and perhaps you're like, gosh, yeah, I really believe in what Guiding Star is doing. I'm so behind Leah's vision for what this looks like. We want to invite you to consider becoming a sponsor of the event. And we've got sponsorship levels at all different levels for you to consider. Leah, if somebody's just kind of like hearing us talk about this, but they're a little bit on the fence, like what would you say to them?
Well, I was just thinking about maybe people that like they hear holistic women's health and they're just kind of a little, I don't know, maybe even triggered, like a little like, well, I don't really know if I believe in that. I would just invite that curiosity, because this event, we're calling it a conference or a summit, but it really is, we're trying to build in opportunity for conversation. We're trying to really build in moments where we wrestle. We wrestle with words, we wrestle with experiences, we wrestle with the trauma that maybe some of us have experienced. I would say that hesitation is not a reason not to come. I think it actually might be the reason that you should come, because we need to bring these experiences forward. We have to talk about this. We have to open our minds to what should the ideal experience be for our daughters as they, begin to become fertile young women, as young women who are having their first pap smears, getting pregnant, going into it's the very first time to the OBGYN, their first pregnancy, their breastfeeding experiences. We have to really rethink not necessarily what my own experience was, but what should the ideal experience be to create an atmosphere where there's no fear. we talk about that we're removing fear around pregnancy, but it's really, we're removing fear around womanhood, around female bodies. We're destigmatizing, menstruation. We're destigmatizing all the stuff that comes with being a woman, perimenopause, chin hairs, all the things that are real, like what it means.
And
be a woman.
In my story, it was motherhood that I feared. I really believed the lie that my life would be over when I became a mom, because I was in so many words told that, like so many times that, in growing a television career and surrounded by people who literally were saying you really should not have children this young in your television career. And so that's where I love where we remove the fear the most. Obviously it's all related, like pregnancy is obviously related to motherhood, but that's my sort of special piece of this all, that I just get so excited. Where I come alive is helping women to realize your life is not over when you become a mom.
we have to really understand what this younger generation of women is afraid of. They have a whole different vernacular and set of fears, that maybe me as a 43-year-old woman now, like I don't recall being so afraid of breast development. That is something that a lot of young girls, young women are terrified now of. I don't know what to do with my breasts. And we're seeing the culture in a sense prey upon that fear, that if there is fear, then maybe that's not what you should be doing. And we're seeing just a lot of infiltration of really negative healthcare, quote, quote, being kind of foisted on unknowing young women. And so it's up to us to understand those fears. And it's up to us to destigmatize and just make them so brave and so courageous and say, this is not bad at all. This is so good. This is so healthy.
And the area of birth control is the one that I find as a society, we need a lot of help. Like we need vernacular because I think it's seen as healthcare. It's so many women, whether they are trying to have a baby or not, like whether they are sexually active or not, are put on a birth control pill because of a quote unquote health care reason. And that's an area that I think anyone can challenge, but might have fear and might not know how to talk about it. And again, we just want to equip people to be able to speak about these things, like what is healthcare and what is not, and be able to do it in a way that makes sense, that is accurate, that is compassionate, of course, but at times is maybe a little feisty.
and these do tend to be feisty conversations. I just had a feisty one not too long ago on Facebook about exactly, this idea that without my birth control, I would have XYZ. And they're very fearful outcomes. They're very doom and gloom, like without your birth control, this would have happened. And no matter what information was presented to this woman, the fear, the emotion was overruling the logic of, okay, no, that's actually how this would have physiologically interacted with my body in this case. And there are alternatives. But, when we get so kind of caught up in our own narrative and in our own story, sometimes the fear overruns. And so we are really trying in this moment to just say, stop, like, what are we afraid of? Like, what is so scary? Like, what are we afraid of? And is that logical? And if it is a logical fear, then we need to say, we need to make that illogical. Like, we need to get the education out there. We need to get the alternative healthcare practices out there. We need to get the policies. And this is the other thing, the timing of this conference, I don't think is a mistake. Like I said, it's been on our calendar for years that we're like, let's do a summit, let's do a conference, let's launch this thing. It happens to be right at a moment where we have a new administration coming in that's asking for a lot of feedback right now on these topics. What do women want for healthcare? How do we change our maternal mortality rates? How do we, distribute state funding for these things? If you're taking away some services, what are you replacing them with? So it's a really just kind of golden opportunity moment, I think, and the Lord times things so well that if we can come together and come out of this with a very strong declaration, a very strong, this is what we want, big things can happen.
if this is exciting to you, I want to invite you to go ahead and join us by grabbing your ticket. And you can visit info.guidingstarproject.com/fearless future conference. That's info.guidingstarproject.com/fearless future conference. Okay, I'm excited about many things, but can I tell you the thing that I'm most excited about today, Leah?
Yes.
We've got an
Oh,
early bird pricing. Okay, people have been
even know that. There we go.
this conference, if I'm traveling, we all understand these can add up, all of the things that come with traveling. $97 early bird price. This price will 100% go up. There is a gala attached to this ticket, and so we will be separating that at some point, because we know some people will just want to join us for the dinner, some will want to join us for the full conference, but for a very limited time, we are offering it as one bundle. So you get the entire conference and the dinner for $97 early bird pricing. We want to reward those who feel like taking a little bit of fast action. Perhaps this is a Christmas present to yourself. And so you can visit info.guidingstarproject.com/fearless future conference. This $97 early bird ticket will not stay. Like, I could just guarantee you, because
that's a good deal. That's a really good deal.
Yes,
I just paid for my focus conference. My seat conference was not $97.
So really, if you are at all curious, at all interested, getting your early bird ticket locks you in at this price. You can start to do some early, flight research, obviously, hotel research. We'll be releasing what our preferred hotel is going to be very soon. We're just working on those details, but grab your ticket before this price goes up. It will be going up in the new year. And so grab it before it does and secure your spot at this first ever. I think that's the other thing that I'm so excited about. When I first came into Guiding Star, so I'm talking March 2023, you invited me in to do a little bit of just contract work in the very beginning. And then that was one of our very first conversations. I remember you were like, wouldn't it be cool if we did our own Seneca Falls? And I was like, at that time, I knew nothing about this world. I remember at that time, I was so like, what is that? I don't even know. But
you're a Canadian. You don't know these things.
It's incredible now to, again, be at this place where many ideas that we had just talked about, that were just simply ideas, blueprints in our imagination, are now coming to life. Yeah. And to be a part of something for the very first time is very exciting. You're going to build this with us. You're going to build this this framework, these vernacular, these things that we want to, again, expand on a national level. You're going to help us do that. And so we want to invite you to be pioneers alongside us. Every year I sit down with our executive directors and we do a bit of an annual review. And that was one of the words that came up, was pioneers. I've asked people this particular year, what makes you excited to be a Guiding Star affiliate? Like, what makes you stay around? And that was one of the words that came up in kind of a few different ways. Yeah. But pioneers, like, we are pioneers in a movement. And so we want to invite you to be a part of it. And let's do it in person. How much fun are in-person events? I mean, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, no, it's time again. I think COVID we all went virtual for a long time, but now it's like, there's something very tactile about being able to shake the hand and look in the eyes of the person. So the speakers, we're still working on some of the speakers, but we have some pretty cool people lined up already for you to hear from. So I actually want to just reiterate, if you are kind of like, I'm not sure that I totally am on board with everything, I want you to bring that, because I am very confident that you will be convinced that the information that will be shared with you, the expertise that will be there, that you will come to understand how all of this fits together. I think that's the other part of it, is sometimes people really understand, one of the issues. They'll feel like, oh, birth control, yeah, that's really terrible for your body. Like, we need to, make the fifth vital sign a thing, like, they'll understand that piece of it, but then, childbirth practice won't really ding as something important. And then when we start to connect the dots and we just say, well, the effect of this is this, long-term birth control use is leading to women that are very disconnected from their body. And then we move into a birth experience and there's no trust built there. They've never listened to their body. They don't trust it. And now you're saying, let's go for a natural childbirth. Like, good luck. That's going to be very traumatic and very scary. Or breastfeeding, like how does that connect back to everything else? Well, we know that a lot of things are connected to breastfeeding failure, one of them being traumatic childbirth experiences. So just like connecting the dots on how we're launching poor women out into the world, like we're launching new mothers out into the world with compounded fear and compounded doubt and compounded trauma. And then we're saying, go be a great mom. And she's like, I never want to do this again. Like,
it's tragic. It really, really
horrible.
is. Yeah, absolutely.
It's horrible. Like how we're expecting young moms, or any mom really, to just pick up motherhood as if it wasn't this incredible, like, culmination of multiple things going exactly right to get to the place that she's at. But yet she feels like a failure. She feels like everything went wrong. And now she's dealing with postpartum depression and leaky boobs, and everything hurts, and she's not sleeping. And we've got to change how we are introducing women into motherhood. We've got to change the entire process from the time that she's a little girl and the first messaging about her body. It starts there.
Oh, Leah Jacobson, it is. I really mean this very sincerely. It is truly like an honor and great fun to do this work. It is great fun to work out the puzzle of how you do this in the most clear way, the most effective way. How do you take what is somewhat complex,
Oh, it's crazy complex. This is like the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
and simplify, like how, and I think there's many things I'm excited about, like I mentioned already, but one of the things that I do think that we have worked very hard on is simplifying. Simplifying how we talk about what we do at Guiding Star, simplifying so that someone without any, healthcare experience, let's say, or kind of who might be new to thinking about this, can understand it and get curious about it. And so this conference, I think in a lot of ways is also a culmination of that. Like, how can we very simply talk about this? And that's where I love this language of fearless future. Oh, and I have to mention, because our designer will be so excited about this, merchandise. We will finally be offering. It's something that we get. I don't know if you know this. I don't think I've shared this with you. We get in our email inbox regularly, I want fearless future merchandise. There's something about this phrase, a fearless future, creating a fearless future, that people are very attracted to, and we've received it. We've received it in DMs, we received it in the inbox. And so we will be unveiling some pretty fun fearless future merchandise at the conference. And I'm pretty excited about that as well. There's so many things that I'm excited about, but to be able to, wear this as well, like live it out, speak it, and also wear it proudly is going to be a lot.
And it'll probably be limited time, won't it? You probably have to come to the conference to get it.
And definitely grab that early bird so that you can be, in the know before everyone else when we launch all this stuff. Leah, I could talk for days and days about all of these things, but any final thoughts that you want to share about this conference and why people should come?
I mean, I think it's hard. I think we're all in like the 9 days to Christmas, like, blah, like just like, blah, get the presents, get the stuff, like the cake. So I know it's probably like a conference, like I can't even imagine that. But imagine, we're 6 weeks out from right now, and you're just like, you've come up for air, and you're like, that's what my soul might need in the year, this coming year. Like, what do you really want for yourself this next year? Do you want to be part of something? Do you want to be part of this sisterhood? Do you want to be in the network that's moving the needle on this issue? If this issue really matters to you, just get the ticket. Don't think about it till after Christmas. Get through Christmas if you're like me. And then get excited. Like,
help us move the needle. Really, that's like help us move the needle. We cannot do this alone. We cannot change a culture, in a small group. We must band together and move the needle all over.
And everyone is important. That's the thing that I also just want everyone to hear. You don't have to be an OBGYN. You don't have to be a midwife. You don't have to be a lactation consultant. You don't have to be a fertility care specialist. You can be a mom with 11 children staying home and homeschooling, because I guarantee your sphere of influence is a lot larger than you realize. So every person matters in this movement. So please don't discount yourself. Please know that you really have an important role.
Come and be encouraged. Orlando, Florida, February 28th through March 1st, 2025. You can grab your early bird ticket at just $97, which includes a fun gala dinner at info.guidingstarproject.com/fearless future conference. Leah Jacobson, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We're so grateful for all of you, and we will see you very soon.